Today we're going to take an image and we're going to make our own fabric panel. If you've ever been to a fabric store, a quilt store, and you can buy, basically it's a panel that you can either put with other pieces of fabric and make it into something bigger, or simply quilt it as is, hang it on your wall, or use as a small quilt. But what we're going to demonstrate today is how to do two things to get to this. One is, the first thing I'll do is, how do you take a smaller image with a low DPI and upscale it or enlarge it and create a border, and then that way that'll give us the image that we want to do the fabric panel as. And then I'm going to take that upscaled image and upload it to Spoonflower to actually create the fabric panel that you then can purchase for yourself. You can decide whether you want to put it up for sale or leave it as private and have it so that only you can buy it. That's one of the great things about Spoonflower. Everything that you put up there, you do not have to put out into the public. You can just keep it for you and your own personal use. Hi, my name is Donna and welcome to my channel, Dylan Creates, where I share how-tos and projects I'm working on. So first, let's get started. So here is the fabric panel I created. This is actually in Spoonflower. I'm in editing mode. I have it done as a center only repeat. That means it's not actually repeating. It's just, it will show you when you choose center, this is what it will look like on 1 yard of fabric. Now when you do a fabric panel, unless you're just buying it for yourself and you plan on printing it on fabric to use, you will want to pay attention to your dimensions. This is because the way I've done this is a really large image. I did decrease it so that the height's only 35 inches, so I can buy 1 yard of fabric and I will get the whole entire panel. It will not be cut off. If you do it larger than 36, which is the yard, but I do it at 35 just to be safe, you will have to buy more than 1 yard. So it will show you what it'll look like in that yard. It's centering it between the 44 inches. It's just basing it on the average width of a fabric, and it's showing the 36 inches tall for 1 yard or length. I actually got this idea from playing around in NightCafe of this woman wearing red in the 1950s walking down the street in Paris in front of the Eiffel Tower. Those are the words that I used in my prompt to get this. What resulted was lots of red and black, and I love the vintage Vogue look. If we go over to NightCafe, where I started, you'll see here's the image that I came up with. This is the upscaled version. You can choose from the regular, or this one might be the upscaled. See how I don't know if you can see it in this video, but there's a little bit of a different where I did upscale it. So it gives it a little bit crisper colors, and then just simply you're going to download it, and it'll download it into your downloads files if you're using PC, and then you can go over there. A little hint is, if you have your image that you just downloaded, the last one will be at the top, and then you can simply click on show in folder so you can see all the files that you've downloaded, just so you know where it's at. You do not have to do the upscale if you don't want to. You can upscale it in the Inkscape program that I'm going to show you, but it does give you a little bit crisper lines, which you'll notice between these two, especially in sort of this foggy area. You do have to pay extra credits. You're not really paying money unless you are using this program a lot and you want to purchase the many extra credits that will be needed for any type of editing. Now the only thing is, even though you've upscaled it, it will still be at a 72 DPI, which is too low for print output. So next I'm going to open up Inkscape, and I am going to, first off, I am going to do document properties. That's a right click, do document properties, and I want to see how big I want to have my document. Right now it's only 8 by 11 inches, but I really want to have a good size fabric panel. I can do it from here, or when I export it out, it will actually make it larger. I'll explain that in a little bit. But say my width, maybe I only want to do 15 by 20 high. Let's see what that gives us. You can play with the document properties, so you can play with this later if you'd like. If it's not quite right, we're going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to import our image that we just downloaded. We go to downloads, it's going to be the last one. And we're going to go OK. I just stick with the defaults. And it downloaded really large. So what we're going to do, we're going to zoom out again. Now there's one thing you have to watch out for when you're in Inkscape. In my last video I was showing you as the introduction to Inkscape, and I don't think I pointed this out, but if you click on your image, you see these little arrows that are changing? You want the straight arrows when you're resizing. These arrows are made for actually rotating your image that's there. And I'm just going to hit the corner. If you press Control down while you drag, it will keep your ratio of your actual image. You see this image is quite a bit larger. Unfortunately, it's still 72 dpi, which is not going to help us when we want to upload it to print on fabric. So will it fit in there? Oh, look, the ratio is correct. That was lucky. Sometimes you have to adjust the document properties. Go back to zoom in a little bit here so we can see it a little bit better. Okay, now I did say, if you do remember, there was a border on my fabric. So what I can do is we can make this a little bit smaller, and we can play around with the size a little bit. Let's just put this here. In the meantime, we're going to draw a rectangle. We're going to take it from the corner to corner. I already have this set as transparent so I can kind of see where it is from a previous project I did. But to fix that, we want to go to Fill and Stroke. We want to make the opacity. We don't want any transparency, any see-through. And then I also want to change this to black. So I'm going to just hit the black here. It does that. Now you think, that's on top. I can no longer see it. That's okay. We can go to Layers and Objects. Here's the image. It's underneath the rectangle. If you don't know about layers in a drawing program or a Photoshop type of editing software, layers basically means you have just the way it sounds. Like think of a cake, it's layered. So you have a top layer, middle layer, and a bottom layer. And you can't, if you look down from above to a cake, all you can see is the top layer. You can't see anything underneath of it. Well, what we're going to do is you can just drag and drop. And we can drag that rectangle underneath the image. Maybe. Or maybe take the image up. There we go. It was just being stubborn. So now we see this on here. Let's go back to we don't want to draw another rectangle. Let's go back to the selector tool. And again, you can watch another video I had if you're interested in getting the introduction to the software. And you can move it around like this and try to center it on your own. But the great thing is there is an align and distribution. If for some reason this is not showing for you, there's a little arrow here and you can just click it here. I clicked that and it made it show, but I already have it as a tab, so I don't really have to do that. So from Fill and Stroke, I can do this. If it's not showing, then you can go here, and these are all the different things you can add to your tabs. Well, what we want to do is there's these align. We want to do it the align, and we're aligning it relative to the page because we have the page dimensions. And then we're going to do center on vertical axis, and then we're going to center on horizontal axis, and that one was already pretty close, so it didn't have to move too much. And then that gives you some space out here. Now if you want to see how big that's going to be, there's actually this really cool tool down here called a measure tool, and you just draw, and this is probably one of the last things I did, but you can just draw here, and you want to make sure your angle is approximately 90. Somewhere in there. Doesn't have to be exact, so you can tell that's about 1.5 inches. It's not 2 inches quite. And remember, that's in this whole entire, see, it's about, about one, and that one is 118. So actually we've got a lot more space. So sometimes it's off just a little bit, and I think it's because it's just hard to get exact. We could zoom in and get it more exact. But you can see that the side borders are not quite as wide as the top and bottom borders. Now that's okay if that's okay with you to have a frame where it's not as wide on the side. You can increase your size of your document, or you can increase the size of your rectangle. If we do select and we do the rectangle, You want to pull it out some. The only problem is it's not going to be on the page, and then when we export, if we export it per page, it will cut that off. Or the other thing is we can do is you can resize the image to be a little bit stretched just a little bit up, and then you'll have to go back to your line again and do your center, do the measure again. Now we've got, oops, get that straight, 90 degrees is 1.38 inches. We go over to the side here, 1.43. So it depends on how exact you want to be. 1.15, 1.15. Okay, see, you have to be exactly exact to get it right. So it's centered. It's just my crazy mind. I'm just making sure. So 1.15. Up here we've got 1.35. So just a little bit bigger on the top and the bottom. If you want it exact, just work with the picture and the rectangle, whatever you want to do. I think though, let's do this. Wait a minute. I think I want it this way, and I want to file, document properties. So let's take the spec down. Let's go ahead and align this just to see where it's at. Okay, so basically we got the basic fabric panel that we want to have. Now, and really messing around with the total document size is you'll get to change it again inside of Spoonflower. So getting it exactly right here, this is just getting to learn how to do this. So don't worry about being too perfect. I'm kind of being a little picky here, but I really shouldn't worry about that. This video is about making this image so that you can upload it to Spoonflower and then you can print it out and have your own fabric panel. So now that we have this, what we want to do at this point is to export it. And I already have an export tab up here. Again, if you have this program and you do not have any of these tabs at the top in your editing bar, again, you can move this. Sometimes they won't say that. You can make it so you can make this bigger. And then sometimes if these tabs aren't wide enough, they will not say the whole title of them, but you can hover over them. So we're going to go to export. Of course, I have my default DPI 500, which is not necessary. Actually, in Spoonflower, you don't have to have 300 DPI. They actually say for their files, you just need 150, but I'm going to go ahead and change it to 300 just to make me feel better. I'm going to change the title of this to, let me make sure it's PNG. I'm going to put it into my documents, fabric panels. These are some that I've been working on. You might see those in a later video. Hit save. One of the things I didn't point out, but here's the thing. You can do the whole document, which is everything in the document, everything in the page, which is within the document. It goes a little bit larger for the image size, okay? Selection, you have to have something selected. So if I only click this and I hit selection, all I'm going to get is the import of that. If I do that, it's only going to get the rectangle. I have to select them together. It'll show you a little preview down here, but we're just going to do the page. That's the easiest, and I've already exported it. Next, we're going to upload it to Spoonflower. I'm going to go back to Spoonflower. I'm already logged in, and I'm just going to click on my little icon up here, and I'm going to upload a design. And I'm going to choose my file, and I'm going to go to the fabric panels. Here it is. I'm going to hover over it. It's 14.5 megabytes, so that's good. You can go up to 40 megabytes. Agree and continue. Usually what we do is go ahead and edit the title and search Woman on Paris Street. I'm happy with that for the moment, and enter a description. So I've added a description, 1950s Paris street with women walking down the Eiffel Tower, whole cloth fabric panel for home decor and quilting. And then you get to pick your tags, the styles. We're going to go ahead and say it's a novelty, just because it's a fabric panel. That's how I do that. It's retro. We're going back to the 1950s. I like to do traditional. It's a traditional type of theme. Patterns and techniques. I really don't know if I have something here that speaks to this. Not really. I'm not going to bother the pattern or technique. This wasn't done by hand. I don't really see any seasons, holidays, or occasions. And the color characteristics, I'm going to say bold. I think it's kind of vibrant. It's not muted. It's not jewel tone though. It's not monochromatic. Other tags I can actually put in 1950s. It's kind of vintage. We'll put that in there. Oh, it's under styles. There was actually a style of vintage and I missed. See, that is one thing about Spoonflower. If you put in a tag, it already exists up here and you just didn't see it, it will go ahead and add it up into the preordained thing. So we can put red, black, P-A-R, go ahead and put Paris. Go ahead and put Paris Street, I-F-E-L. Two more tags left. I'll do that later, maybe. It's not mature content. Don't have to do that. I don't have a collection. Additional details. You can put in some more details if you'd like. And then you can save. So we've done all of the details of the naming and everything. One of the things too is I would edit the thumbnail and I would do a centered crop just so you can see the majority of the panel. So save on that. So it gives it there. And then what we're going to do is edit. And right now we are going to hit the center because we want to make sure that we get, as I showed you in the beginning, and the height is 38 inches. So we don't want that because we want to be able to buy a yard of fabric and get the whole panel. So we get it down to, sometimes you have to type it in to get it exactly 35. Can I not do 35? Nope. Evidently on the percentage it has to do it exactly at 34.96. Close enough. It will let you know or not. So then it's going to show you what it looks like centered, and then you're going to hit save. So we look at it in a yard. That's the zoom in. But there's what it looks like in a yard. That's what people will get. They'll get this centered onto a yard of fabric. They will not, since it's centered, these ones here where it's showing the multiples, it's still reading it from when you first upload it. It will update eventually and not show those options. So that's basically it for uploading it to Spoonflower and doing the editing. You can, if you want, if you don't want it a full fabric panel, you can go back to editing. Let's close this out. And we go back to editing. And you can make it you just do a basic where it's a repeat. And you want to be able to have like two to a yard. You are going to get some partial up here. And you can see where there was probably in the image a little bit of a white space. So we probably didn't quite have it out all the way to page when we exported it. And that's something new you can go back and fix. If all you're worried about is getting one big fabric panel, that's not going to be as big a deal. So we can cancel this, but you can do that. You can make it smaller so you can get lots of little, if you're wanting to do, say, lots of little panels and cut them apart and quilt them into a bigger quilt. We're going to cancel this because we're not going to do that right now. And next is we're going to walk through actually unpacking my actual fabric panel so you can see what it looks like once it's finished. So here is the fabric that I'm unpackaging. I'm putting it out on my cutting board and it's not quite big enough, but I can't get my camera far enough away so I can show you what it is all the way out. And I've sped this up so we can kind of look at it really quickly. This here at the end, this is what it's looked like. I got it pinned up on a wall so you can see it in its full glory. And that's basically it on how to take a small image Whether it's something you've made yourself, you use AI or public domain, you can take those and make your own fabric panels. Have fun crafting. Till next time.